So today let's talk about another syndrome, Cushing syndrome. So yesterday we talked about Chidiac-Ikashi syndrome. So today we are going to talk about Cushing syndrome. Okay. So the most important hormone which we'll be talking about is regarding cortisol. Okay. So we all would have heard about this hormone cortisol, cortisol, cortisol. Okay. So what does this cortisol do and what is the function of this cortisol? If you know what does the cortisol do, then we can associate and we ourselves will tell what happens in Cushing syndrome. Okay. So first I will talk about what is gluconeogenesis. So gluconeogenesis is synthesis or secretion of glucose, production of glucose from non-carbohydrate sources. So non-carbohydrate sources means it's nothing but amino acids, lactate and glycerol. So what happens? The body secretes glucose from the non-carbohydrate sources like amino acids, lactate and glycerol. So what does this cortisol do is, basically it enhances the gluconeogenesis. How? Whenever there is breakdown of protein catabolism in the muscles is done by cortisol. So whenever there is a protein catabolism, amino acids are released in the blood. Okay. Whenever there is a breakdown of lipids, fats, whenever there is breakdown of fats, glycerol will be released. Both these actions are done by cortisol. So basically what does the cortisol do is it increases the raw materials for gluconeogenesis. So it increases the the release of the amino acids in the bloodstream, and it also increases the release of glycerol. Okay. So what happens is these two raw materials will reach the liver, which is where the major production of glucose will be taking place. So the cortisol, after breaking down the proteins and the fats, the amino acids and the glycerol are released into the bloodstream. It reaches the liver, and in the liver, what happens is it increases the gluconeogenic enzymes. Okay, it increases the gluconeogenic enzymes. Okay, so what are the gluconeogenic enzymes? Say for example, phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase, or glucose 1,6 glucose 1,6 phosphatase, fructose 1,6 bisphosphatase. Okay, all these enzymes will be released and increased by cortisol. So it increases raw material, it increases the gluconeogenic enzymes in the liver. All these are going to favor and result in increased production of glucose in the bloodstream. So whenever there is a increased production of cortisol, more and more and more of glucose is released into the bloodstream. So am I right in saying that patients with increased production of cortisol, like in Cushing's, will have hyperglycemia? Yes, it's obvious. So patients will have hyperglycemia. One thing. Next thing is, these patients peripherally if you see, there will be more amount of lipolysis. Okay, more amount of breakdown of lipids. Centrally if you see, there will be increased lipogenesis, which means more accumulation of fats. So that is why these patients will have moon face, puffy face, truncal obesity. Okay, but if you see their limbs, it will be thin, because that is the action of cortisol. Okay, 2. 3 is, it has some mineralocorticoid action as well. That is, sodium and water retention will be taking place. We all know that whenever the sodium is increased, obviously there's going to be increase in blood pressure. So am I right in saying that these patients will have increased blood pressure? Obviously. So cardiovascular, there will be increased blood pressure, hyperglycemia, there will be moon face, puffiness, and truncal obesity will be there. So all these are the features of Cushing syndrome. So Cushing syndrome basically arises because of the increase in the cortisol hormone secretion. Cortisol has glucocorticoid actions and mineralocorticoid actions. So the glucocorticoids, all these, and the mineralocorticoids, sodium and the water retention, because of which there will be increased amount of blood pressure. And another one important thing, what does this cortisol do is, it decreases the dopamine and serotonin secretion in the central nervous system. So once these dopamine and serotonin secretions are decreased, the patient will be depressed. Okay, so that is one of the major consequences of increased cortisol secretion. So that is it about Cushing syndrome. So I hope this video makes sense. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.